Sinners is a movie. It's the movie of all time. The film starts with Sammy driving to his dad's church, and he's in a panic. He's just seen some crazy shit, and we see little cuts of, something happening.
In the name of God!
And watching this in the theater, I was thinking, like, why? Why is this movie starting this way? We have this flash forward of Sammy coming to his dad, just ensuring that the main character is going to be safe, and he's not going to be killed or eaten by any vampires later in the story. We have just a whole flashback now to a whole day earlier, and I don't know why that is that way. You can have the film start with a prologue about mysticism and the history of soul music, cut to title. Completely skip the unnecessary flash forward scene, and we cut to the actual beginning of the film, which starts a day earlier. I think that would be a tighter, more fitting opening. We now begin the film like our protagonist, unaware of the threat of some monstrous danger. We get a prologue hinting that the film will delve into the supernatural, but we don't actually give away anything or show anything.
But it also attracts evil.
My son has felt the call of sin.
I find this church opening flash forward sequence completely unnecessary. But you might ask yourself, hey, this is a horror-adjacent action movie. Maybe that's just the way they wanted to open the movie. A lot of films, horror films in particular, open with a cold opening, shocking spectacle. The producers probably put in a note to reveal the vampires a little bit just so the audience gets a taste of the monster to come. Well, halfway through the film, we get an introduction to Remick, the lead vampire of a commune. The scene is so abrupt and just feels like it's placed in the middle of the film. No transition in the plot outline or anything. Most of the film follows Sammy or one of his cousins' perspective, but this is the first time and only time it breaks perspective to our lead vampire. Anyway, this whole scene would have been a great cold opening. It introduces us to our main villain. We see his vampire gold. We see him lure some people over and get invited into their house. We hear about the vampire mysticism, and we get a little foreshadowing of the KKK. And finally, we get a great opening death scene, if this was an opener. Either the film should have started with a slower opening with the epilogue and the start of Sammy's day, or a more spectacular traditional horror movie opening with the introduction of the main villain, Remick. Instead, we get this opening, which feels so chopped up and just a sloppy last-minute editing decision put in there on screen.
To leave those sinning ways where they lie.
There's like no real logic to these vampires. How do they feel pain? How can you kill a vampire? In the middle of the film, once vampires swarm the juke joint, Annie explains to Smoke that vampires can be killed with
Sunlight, I wouldn't stake it hard.
classic vampire stuff. Christianity doesn't hurt or kill the vampires, but stakes, black magic, and sunlight work. You know what shouldn't kill vampires in this movie? Silver. Or guitars. Sammy hits Remick with the silver disc piece of a guitar, and it stuns him and stuns all the other vampires. I'm genuinely confused by this moment, and I would like to know why this stuns Remick. Is it because the light reflected off the silver disc, even though it didn't seem like it really did? There's no light beams, and it seems to some reason burn Remick. That's also not set up anywhere. Why do they simultaneously get hurt?
They feel his pain!
Never mind. This is a line that is mentioned. Upon rewatch, I only now noticed it. That being said, it now opens a can of more plot holes. If all the vampires feel Remick's pain, how did Stack and Mary run off and not just die since Remick dies? How did Stack and Mary not die from the sunlight? Did they just hide in a shack or a house somewhere? Or if they did, why don't the other vampires just do that before the sun rises? How come Annie got bit when she had the most magical charms on her body? Why doesn't Stack kill his brother? Why are Stack and Annie the only vampires who are just pacifists? Why do the vampires kill people in the first place if they can just coexist, as we see with Stack and Annie? These vampires kill other people not because they're hungry or something like that. They just want to convert people into their group by biting them. This ending just sucks. Stack is having a peaceful conversation with elderly Sammy. Stack is a vampire. He got invited into the room. It really just doesn't follow the rules as much. I mean, they made a promise, but like, if they could just be pacifists, that really changes the dynamic of the whole movie. In this film, the vampires can't come into a house unless invited into. So all the characters can just stay in the juke joint for the night, but eventually Grace Chow just invites everyone in, and she's all like, "Come on in, you motherfucker!" Like, you're gonna get killed. What? They're outnumbered. The vampire fight scene also just has extra no-name characters in the joint.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that guy?
The way it's directed, they're quick deaths, so Ryan Coogler just hopes you didn't notice these extra characters that we've never seen before get killed for a bigger vampire body count. Talk about Much like this video, Sinners is sloppy. Unnecessary opening scene, a non-linear story structure that actually hinders the movie, unnecessary multiple endings. Ryan Coogler, why can't you just pick one ending for the film? The KKK shootout scene felt so oddly forced in this film. Ryan Coogler really wanted to have a satisfying revenge scene, probably inspired by Django Unchained, put in here, and man, does it not fit the rest of the film. Like, these KKK guys were just gonna arrive the next morning and what? They thought everyone was gonna be sleeping at the juke joint, and they would just shoot them in broad daylight. The KKK could have been incorporated better into the movie. Like, maybe have another scene with one of these racist evil characters, and maybe the ending could fit better that way. Ryan Coogler, why did you add a whole 15-minute ending after your main credits? It's like Ryan Coogler wanted the audience to sit through the credits, but only the credits he finds important. Ryan Coogler was inspired by Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, and you can tell. Unlike From Dusk Till Dawn, this film's writing and execution is just sloppy. It's weird that it has such high ratings. People are, saying it deserves an Oscar, it's the best movie of the year, it's an original IP film, that's a huge box office hit, but it's not so original. I mean, it's kind of vampires. Vampires, in a way, are their own IP. There's a vampire movie, and people kind of know what they're getting into. Not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying that I find it weird that people deem this as like big original film when there's actual original movies coming out and they're not getting the same recognition or anything because something like Sinners got a bunch of attention as being a vampire film. So those are my thoughts on the film. It's not a film for me. I understand if people like it, but I have these kind of glaring flaws in the movie that just make me not want to enjoy the film. I mean, I just think the film is just too sloppy and too much of a knockoff to fully enjoy. But some stuff I enjoyed. I like the score. I think the score actually deserves an Oscar. The composer is just made an excellent score. I think the score is the best part of the movie. The editing in the film, I also really enjoy the editing. I think the editing was really tight. I think the editing might be the best, and I love the VFX too. The cloning VFX with Michael B. Jordan are great. I think Michael B. Jordan is a good actor, and here he really shined. He played twins really well, and they're similar, but they're also different, and their whole character is really cool. I do respect that the film doesn't make their characters the main characters. Sammy is still the main character, but I think Sammy is just not as interesting. He doesn't really have an arc. He comes back to his dad's church near the end, and he just goes there, and then he rejects his dad, and it's like, why why even come back to the church if, you know, you just run off from your dad? But anyway, those are my thoughts on Sinners. I liked some of it, but for the most part, like I said, I just find it too sloppy for my enjoyment. But I totally get if you like the movie, and I understand if you think it is one of the best movies ever. I don't think that, but everyone has their own opinion, and I just wanted to share it because I feel like no one has any flaws with this movie. People seem to all love it, and I'm in the minority here as somebody who did not like Sinners. I give it a 5 out of 10.